Hi, I'm Dr. Noelle Cloven. I'm a gynecologic oncologist with Texas Oncology in Fort Worth and the co-chair of the GOG Foundation's Communications Committee. I'm thrilled to be here with Dr. Angeles Alvarez-Secord with our next installment of GOG Accrual Culture video, with the topic today being focus on responsiveness for site selection. Dr. Secord, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dr. Angela Salvador Secord, and Noelle, please call me Angela. So I'm a first name person, and we've known
Thank
each other
you.
for over 2 decades. So, wonderful, wonderful to be here, and thank you for inviting me to discuss this very important topic. I'm the director of clinical trials at Duke in the Division of Gynecologic Oncology. It's a really a passion of mine to be engaged in clinical trials and helping having our community get access to these trials and giving this hope for our patients.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really are going to appreciate your insight. I know a lot of people are just starting out building a clinical trial network, and we're trying to give pointers on how to develop a successful clinical trial network. And we all know how important it is to be responsive to emails, and that's going to be one of the topics, one of many. But before we dive in, GOG would like to thank our industry partners for their support of this podcast, including Corcept Therapeutics, Pfizer Oncology, and OncoC4 for their support of this live podcast. So let's get started. I'm going to ask a series of questions, Angeles, and feel free, if anything I'm missing, please feel free to chime in at any time. But this is just to get the conversation started. Like you said before, we've known each other for so long now. This is just like any other conversation that we would have on a normal day. So from your perspective, how does investigator responsiveness affect the overall success of the trial?
I personally think it's critical
Mhm.
when I am part of a trial. I consider us all part of this big team, and our overarching goal is to help our patients. And the way we help our patients is by completing these studies so that we can identify drugs that are successful, that can be entered into the clinical arena and help our patients live longer and better lives. So for me, it is join in incredible enthusiasm. You're a big part of the team, and you need to be responsive to these emails because it's going to help your study be completed in a more efficient manner. So improve your timelines, get these drugs out to our patients, improve study data integrity, and also it's just team morale.
Right.
You've got to be able to answer these questions because your team is counting on you and your patients are counting on you. So a big part of responsiveness is thinking about patient safety and what's the right thing for these individuals who've put their trust in you and are part of the study.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I guess, we're mentioning emails, but it's really not just responsiveness to emails, it's responsiveness to your team members, like you said. So if they have a question about eligibility, you need to make yourself, I mean, if you're the lead investigator or even a co-PI, you need to be available to answer their questions. If a patient's having a problem, either you or one of your colleagues needs to be available for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and we're
So,
busy, Noelle. We're
right.
surgeons, right? So we're not going to be available all parts of the day. Somebody can't just call us and get in touch with us because we're in the operating room, we're in our scrubs, right?
Mhm.
Or we're at the robot console. But the point is like my team knows, please, if you need me urgently, do not text me, do not send a message in Epic. You have my cell phone number, call me
Right.
because
Right.
I might not be able to look at your text.
Right.
And then emails is an important thing. That takes a lot of discipline. I do get behind on my emails, especially when I go on vacation and then you come back. I mean, we are getting, I think most of us are probably getting on average over 300 emails a day. So
Right.
use your email tools wisely. Block emails, you know.
Mhm.
And then if you have challenges with getting to all of your emails, go to the most critical ones first. So if you're the PI on the
Right.
study, you got to go to those emails. And also, I give the the sponsor team access to my cell phone number and
Mm.
tell them to reach out to me with any concerns
Same.
whatsoever.
Same. Okay. In your experience, how does timely communication influence whether or not your site is selected for future trials?
So timely communication is something that it's kind of like a report card, I would say.
Hmm.
You're going to be assessed on your timely communication. So if somebody has to reach out to you, like if the PI is reaching out to you, and it happens to all of us, this happened to me, it's always like, oh no, you know,
Yeah.
something's not right. I get on this. You don't want to call from the PI of the study. So if you're, and it's going to happen to everybody once, twice, maybe three times, but you do not want to be somebody who's known for not being responsive in a timely manner chronically, because it may be the difference between your site being chosen or not.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's something that I've seen. I mean, because people want somebody that's easy to work with and responsive. So, and I think that's, comes from, both sides, the GOG sponsors. I mean, of course, from our standpoint, we like to have a sponsor that's responsive to our questions and emails. So I think it works both ways.
Can I add one more thing? That
Sure.
responsiveness is just not you, right? As a PI, I know you have like this amazing reputation for being super responsive, but also your team. Your
Right.
team, it has to be a culture across a group that, hey, when you are being asked to get your data entered or being asked to clear up all your queries, you know, we are not the ones that are doing that. It's your team. So you
Hmm.
have to really inspire that culture of responsiveness as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that kind of leads into the next question. So, how do delays in responding to queries, deviations, or safety questions impact the study team? And what are the downstream effects on coordinators? So we talk about
Mhm.
that. I mean, this is something that there's a deadline for when you have to report things and when you have to respond. So how do you feel about that?
That's so many loaded questions into one.
Yes.
So I think one thing that's important to recognize, and I don't think I recognized this when I first started doing clinical trials, is that when there's a delay in entering patient data, when there's a delay in putting in the AEs and so forth, that actually creates a patient safety issue because the company needs to know about these things so that they can act timely if they start to see a safety issue, or even worse, something that's a serious adverse event issue so that they can act. Of course, there's concerns about data integrity, but
Hmm.
also this can impact operational efficiency and timelines. If the company's not getting their data in quickly enough, they're not going to be able to understand when they're going to be hitting those timeline metrics for their endpoint. And that is incredibly important. So it is much bigger than, oh, this is annoying. I have to get this data in. It goes beyond that to patient safety, data integrity, and operational efficiency.
Angela, you're so right. And I agree. This was something that I hadn't realized until pretty recently how important it is to get all this data in on time for the study, for the outcomes of the study, the safety of the patients. And, one thing I think is that, we'll often get an email and it's sent to maybe 20 people and we're one of them. And what I've told my team, and this is kind of a new thing that I've been doing, I say, look, someone needs to respond to this email and I'll respond to it. But I think it can't just be that you're forwarding it to someone else. If you're going to respond to the email, it needs to be that you're taking some sort of action to resolve whatever the issue is with the email. I mean, that's just something that I've been trying
Yeah.
out, and I think it seems to be working a little bit better.
It's
Yeah.
action item, person responsible, timeline.
Right.
Those are like my
Right.
three things. And so if I get an
Right.
email like that, I send it to the team. I know who's doing the data. And I'll also say to that person, hey, call me if you need help, right? Because you want to be able to help them. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing I've tried to really instill in a culture in our group, and things have shifted in terms of, you've gone through that shift too over the last, 2 decades in terms of who who hires a team, how the team works. We've gone from silo to more centralized, but I still want to impart this team-based approach and flexibility. So if somebody's not as busy, they know to reach over and say, "Hey, do you need help with data?" Like even if they don't always do data, do you need help with data? I'm happy to try to help. You know, and that way it is we are all in this together. We're supporting each other. We're co-elevating each other. And in terms of team dynamics, I think it's really important to uplift people because the other part of your question is, how does this make the team feel?
Mm-hmm.
Queries are like these little gremlins that can multiply, right? You answer a query,
Mm-hmm.
get forward
And three
back,
more come.
or
Yeah.
yeah, or the monitor changes and they're re-querying the query. And that can be
Right.
pretty demoralizing for the head of manager or the CRC who's entering this data. So a lot of, you do have to make sure you're giving people props for the hard work they're doing, that you show appreciation for them, and again, that you're there to help them.
Yeah, and that's something that I've also been thinking about a lot is the data managers, they are the heroes of these trials. I mean, think about how important the work is that they do, and
Mhm.
often we don't ever really get to interact with them face to face. They're just, on the computer entering data. They don't get to have the rewarding patient face-to-face experience that we
Mhm.
do that gives us the positive feedback and we know that we're helping people. So, yeah, I'm trying to get to know my data managers more because you're right. I mean, they are the workhorse that makes all of us able to, get these trials completed and eventually get the new drugs to our patients. So, okay, I think some of these we may have already even answered, but one of the questions I had is, how important do you think responsiveness is in building trust with the sponsors and cooperative groups? And again, I think we
Yeah.
probably already addressed this to some degree that if you're not responsive, the sponsors are, not going to really want to look to your site if you're somebody that never responded to queries or that, wasn't available for emails. And same with, with the cooperative groups.
Hmm.
Um,
I think it's you said something so important, trust, right? Trust is an
mhm,
incredibly important word here in this relationship. The other thing I would add to trust is reliability. You have
mhm,
to demonstrate that you're reliable. And if you're not reliable, that is going to look bad on your credibility,
right,
right?
right, for sure. Okay, so this one we touched on a little bit too, but this question was about what message does it send to staff when leadership responds quickly to issues? And I
Uh,
think that's like what you said. It's your culture. I mean, we're responsive, we're available. That's we want to build that across everybody. And it's not just the doctors, it's not just the nurses, it's the data, it's everybody. We're all in this
mhm.
together.
Yeah, I mean, you have to lead by expectation. I hope my team knows that I will get down in the trenches with them and work hard
Mhm.
with them side by side. And that comes with, if you need help screening somebody, call me. Let's screen the patient together. Let's go through all the eligibility together. If they have a question, to call me. I am hopefully working harder than anyone else on my team. That's the
Mhm.
expectation as a leader.
Yeah, and I think if you have, I think another thing to think about is mentorship of new staff. When people are new, it's pretty easy to get overwhelmed, especially people that might be new to the GYN research area. Um, I mean, they should definitely have another nurse or staff member mentoring them, but I think, making sure they understand about GYN cancer and what we're doing, have them come in maybe and listen to you counseling a patient,
Hmm.
all of that stuff is very important as far as, like you said, building a culture and making sure that they know that we're available and we're real people and we want to hear them and they can approach us with any questions.
Yeah, the door is always open. Absolutely. And I tell people when they start that this job is going to take a year to feel comfortable, especially
Hmm.
for the CRCs and CRNCs, because our patients are pretty sick. They have different disease biology. And so it's really, they can come from an area of research in surgery or something else, for instance, but then they come to gynonc and it is different. We do a
Yeah.
lot in terms of the surgical medical aspects. So this is just all great points. I've learned a lot from even having a conversation with you. One of the things too is celebrate your team. Every week that we have a meeting, we say something really, or try to say something really positive about the team. And then if we at Duke are represented on a publication,
Mhm.
or if we are part of a trial that leads to a change in NCCN guidelines, or part of a trial that leads to FDA approval, I mean
Mhm.
that is where you want to be. That's the win. That's the prize that you are able to help people in that way, getting a new drug into the clinical arena. There's nothing better than that.
Exactly.
So share that
Exactly.
success with your team.
Yes, exactly. That's so important. And we get those. And a lot of times they're not aware that, what they're doing has led to a new drug being approved by the FDA. So yeah, just this week, we had a big FDA announcement. And so everybody was cheering and happy. And, so yeah, it's really good to build that rapport. Okay, so this is the last question, and this is kind of a difficult one. For me, I always hate open-ended questions. I have trouble answering them, but I think this is important though. Is how do you balance? I mean, you're effortless, right? You always seem like you're on top of everything, but how do you balance your clinical workload with timely trial-related decisions and enrollment in clinical trials? Do you have any secrets? Tell us how you do it.
Well, I don't have a lot of balance. I think I was kind of probably grew up in a different, same generation as you,
Yeah.
right? You know, this is not a job for me. It's a passion. So I love what I do. So if I'm up late at night doing emails, it's not drudgery for me. It's something that has to be done. So what I, mentioned is um, prioritizing those emails that you have to answer, right? And that's critically important. I do on my days that are easier days, I try to be really disciplined and get all my emails done um,
Mhm.
that night if I can and answer the critical ones. And then and when I'm in clinic, I try to be super efficient. I like to get all my notes done that day because it takes me longer to go back to them later. And
I
same thing
agree.
with the OR. I
Yeah.
like to have my op notes done, discharge summaries, everything. And I try to just be really disciplined as I can because if I'm not, it won't get done. And so I think it's just at this point, it's just become a habit, you know.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you want to do this work, you're going to be working at night and you're
Hmm.
going to be working on the weekends. But you also can balance that with other things that you love to do, and you have to really prioritize family. I have 3 kids. I know you have kids, a
Hmm.
loving, partner that you're with, and those are those are really incredibly important people in my life. So, and my parents and my sisters and everybody. So it's really important that I spend that time with them. But you have
Yeah.
to choose. You have to prioritize.
Yeah, and I think that yeah, I mean we look at us. I mean, we both have kids and families and we do research and we're still regular doctors doing surgery and seeing patients in the office. So it can be done. I mean, for me, I feel like the research part of it really energizes me and it keeps
Hmm.
me going and it makes me happy to see, all the differences that we've made in the clinic and in the OR and all these things that we've done that are helping patients and that just makes me
Hmm.
happy and gives you more energy to get through it. And yeah, I mean, we all work hard. I mean, there's not a single one of us that doesn't work hard, but what we're doing makes a difference. And in the end, that's what matters.
Yeah, it definitely keeps your cup full. Well, this was so
Right.
fun for me. Thank you for inviting
Yeah.
me to talk about this
Yeah.
topic.
Thank you so much, Angelus. And I would like to thank again Corcept, Pfizer Oncology, and OncoC4 for their support of this live GOG podcast. Thank you so much.